Hello everyone, I am very excited for you to see this comparison shootout today. It's the big one, it's the one I've been telling you all about. Yes, today on Mixing Wednesday we are going to be doing an Abbey Road shootout, Waves, Acoustica, SOFTUBE. Let's do this. So yes, welcome back to Mixing Wednesdays. My name is Paul Third. Yes, I am a qualified audio engineer. Being a qualified audio engineer means absolutely hee-haw today. But yes, I do have a certificate that basically means nothing. But I am a qualified audio engineer, whatever that means. And today we are going to be doing a shootout on Abbey Road EQs and compressors. Yes, very brief history. So the Abbey Road hardware is so synonymous and very rare. Now the reason that they are so rare is because they were specifically made for the engineers in Abbey Road. They were like one-offs. The consoles, EQs, think about Fairchilds and stuff like that. They were all made specifically for Abbey Road. So there aren't any more of these consoles or EQs or compressors. So obviously Waves Audio, in their wisdom, and again, watch that Fall of Waves Audio video talking about the Fall of Waves Audio, in my opinion, and from what I can see, a lot of other people's opinion. Waves Audio, very clever. They decided to capitalise on that, and then they got, so I don't know what contract it is, but Waves Audio have whatever contract it is with Abbey Road. So again, they've got a licence to whatever they want to do with Abbey Road hardware. So yes, they sampled the TG12345 and the CURVEBENDER, which is the RS56, which is going to be in this comparison, but they've also done the Red EQ, remember they've done the Fairchild, then last year, I think, or was it last year, maybe the year before, they released the TG mastering suite as well, which was basically emulating the mastering lathe that they used to use in Abbey Road. But obviously, the way that the plug-in market works, SOFTUBE decided to go, know what, I want a piece of that pie. So SOFTUBE got involved and they thought, right, okay, I can't get the license for the Abbey Road stuff. However, in terms of the audio hardware, as I said, they are very rare and very sparse, and they're only in Abbey Road. Chandler, who make some of the best hardware emulations out there, decided, know what, we are going to emulate the hardware. So SOFTUBE then thought, as the Chandler is emulating the hardware, they're going to be really close. So how about we get the license for the Chandler, and then we could then push out the Chandler, which then SOFTUBE then came out with the Zener Bender. So you've got the Zener limiter and you've got the CURVEBENDER. So they're allowed to call it the CURVEBENDER. So that came out and did incredibly well, to the point where most people pay the money for the SOFTUBE. Now, why did a lot of people go for SOFTUBE over the Waves and pay the high premium? I'll put a wee photo of what it's up for just now, but it is quite expensive and you can only buy it from SOFTUBE now. I know they don't do it from Plug-in Fox or anything like that. So the bonus for SOFTUBE was the fact that a lot of the hardware guys couldn't obviously get the Abbey Road stuff. They were buying the Chandler stuff, and then which meant they fell in love with the Chandler stuff, which meant that when the plug-in came out, then they were more likely to buy the plug-in. So that was very crafty. Now, there aren't many other emulations on the market until ACUSTICA Audio came along and they brought out the ACUSTICA Coffee. I fell in love with this plugin. So that's emulating the Chandler as well. But obviously ACUSTICA can't tell anybody that it's based on the Chandler, so there is a paste it link that again I'll stick in the description as well, that tells you what basically these are based on. It's probably somebody from ACUSTICA just being like, oh, it wasn't us. So yes, that is emulating the Chandler stuff, and it gives you extra options more than the SOFTUBE offers you. And again, that's got the oversampling in as well. So this test is going to be all about the best Abbey Road simulations. What sim's the best? Is Waves actually the best at doing Abbey Road plugins? Is that their forte? Is that what they put all of their effort into? Very quick disclaimer, I do promise you we are going to go into the test very soon. I know you probably want to skip, but very quickly, I do level match everything to integrated UFS, you will get to see that. In terms of the tone and the frequencies are the exact same. The compressors are the exact same settings. I get the VU meters to move at the exact same. Gain reduction is the same. Again, I try to match everything as close as physically possible. And in terms of the dB increments of the EQ, again, they will be slightly different, again, because it's all about tone, and again, the curves might be slightly different. So yes, let's get into this and see which one is the best. So from what I can hear just now, the Waves has more of, there's this ring that I don't really like, and I feel like the Acoustica and the SOFTUBE are definitely cleaner. The Waves is in the right ballpark, definitely, but I think that possibly the oversampling in the snare and the SOFTUBE is making it that a little bit cleaner. The high end's coming out a little bit more. I would actually say that maybe the SOFTUBE's maybe possibly the cleanest, with having a little bit more bottom than the Acoustica. I think the bottom end of the Waves and the SOFTUBE are quite similar. It's hard, they're really, really close. So for the blind test, I would probably say, but I think I'll be able to tell the snare with the Waves quite simple. I think it's a little bit more muddy in that ring that I don't like. The Acoustica and SOFTUBE are going to be difficult. I do think that's got a little bit more low end beef in it, in the low mids, and I think that this has got slightly a little bit more high end, just a slight little bit more saturation in the high. So let's see if I can tell the difference. Right, okay, so I managed to get it right. The Waves was quite easy because, again, I've got that kind of ring in there that I didn't really like. But in terms of the Acoustica and the SOFTUBE, it was pretty hard. I was able to tell, again, a little bit more in the
I'd probably say in the sustain and almost like the sizzle of the snare, but these two are very, very close, to the point I would actually say I don't know if you'll be able to tell the difference between the Acoustica and the Softube in the context of a mix. I think the two of them are so similar and probably could be even more, maybe more finely tweaked. I do think the oversampling gives it that clarity and allows the high end to come out a little bit more. The Waves it's there, it's in the right ballpark. I just don't think it's got the technology to beat these two. So snare done, let's move on to guitar. Okay, so guitars, let's hear what the guitars sound like on their own. So I would say maybe slightly, just a little bit muddy. Again, well recorded. It needs a little bit of brightening up, and it just needs a little bit more clarity. And the low mids could be a little bit tighter. So let's see what adding in the TG12345 and the RS56, the curve bender and the Waves, does to the signal path. Okay, so 18 LUFS. So that was the Waves. Let's move on to the Acoustica. So 0.1 of a dB again, as close as I'm going to get. So let's move on to the Softube. So the Softube is perfectly level matched to the Waves, which means that the Acoustica is just slightly quieter at 0.1 dB. So it's not massive at all. So let's see the differences between them side by side. So I think what we could take from that, the Waves is definitely the harshest to me and a little bit muddy, where the top end in the Softube is a lot smoother. Again, the Acoustica and Softube are cleaner. The Acoustica's top end is a little bit more brighter. Again, like what we had in Snare, where I kind of feel that the Softube has a little bit more kind of body to it, but again, very similar. So am I going to be able to tell the difference in the blind test? Again, I think I'll be able to tell the Waves like kind of a sore thumb, but it'll be difficult again between the Acoustica and the Softube. I think if I think more about the top end in terms of the smoothness of the top end compared to the Softube, I think I might be able to tell the difference, but let's give it a whirl. Right, okay. I was back and forth and back and forth with this. But I would say that I think I'm going to change my mind like what I did the last time. And I think I am going to go for SOFTUBE with this one. I just think that the highs were just a little bit more, slightly harsher and brighter to me. So let's see if I'm right. Yes, so again, I managed to get that right. And again, it's interesting how listening first, I was listening kind of for the high end, and again, the Waves high end is quite good, but I had to kind of take a step back and think, right, okay, Paul, stop thinking about high end first. Think about which one sounds kind of the harshest to you and kind of the one that's kind of has the least clarity. So I had to go, funnily enough, I thought that the Waves was the SOFTUBE, went back, listened to it again, and was like, right, okay, that's definitely the harshest. So I knew that was that. Then again, like with the snare, having to go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, because they are very, very close. But I just kind of felt that in the top end, the SOFTUBE just has a smoother top end, and the Acoustica has a different characteristic. Again, in a mix, would you be able to tell the difference in a mix setup? I don't know. I think, again, they're very, very, very close, with the Waves being, again, in the ballpark, but just not as clear. And again, due to the oversampling. Right, okay, so let's move on to vocals. So this is the vocal without any processing.
For I've been living in scenes from Harold and Maude, faking gruesome deaths, offending Catholic priests. So send this boy away. Forsake him at your peril. There can only be one loser.
Okay, so that is without any processing. So let's add in the Waves and let's see the difference that the Waves is adding to the vocal.
For I've been living in scenes from Harold and Maude, faking gruesome deaths, offending Catholic priests. So send this boy away. Forsake him at your peril. There can only be one loser. I never knew why. We were only passing ships in the night, ignoring all the other.
Okay, so we're looking at 22.2 LUFS. So now let's move to the Acoustica.
For I've been living in scenes from Harold and Maude, faking gruesome deaths, offending Catholic priests. So send this boy away. Forsake him at your peril. There can only be one loser. I never knew why. We were only passing ships in the night, ignoring all the other.
So there is only 0.1 dB of a difference. So let's add in a SOFTUBE and let's see the difference in that.
For I've been living in scenes from Harold and Maude, faking gruesome deaths, offending Catholic priests. So send this boy away. Forsake him at your peril. There can only be one loser. I never knew why. We were only passing ships in the night, ignoring all the other.
So 22.2, so that is matching the Waves. Okay, so let's try the side-by-side test and see what the difference actually is between each vocal. Start off with the Waves and then move our way down.
For I've been living in scenes from Harold and Maude, faking gruesome deaths, offending Catholic priests. So send this boy away. Forsake him at your peril, there can only be one loser. I never knew why. We were only passing ships in the night, ignoring all the other.
Now, to me, there is quite a lot of differences in here, but the Waves, I think the Waves does a stellar job here. I think the Acoustica just has the best of both worlds. Now, for everybody that's kind of complaining about the differences in sound, again, the 0.5 dB boosts, again, look, I can only go to +4, +4.5, +5. Now, what is really interesting that's absolutely cranked. That's cranked at 5 dB. It just doesn't have that kind of upfront character to me. Again, let's see if we can maybe just boost it a little bit more in the 2.8, give it a little bit more actual mid to see if that changes anything, and we can get it a little bit more upfront compared to the rest.
For I've been living in scenes from Harold and Maude, faking gruesome deaths, offending Catholic priests. So send this boy away, forsake him at your.
And see, now it's just sounding a bit too nasally now, which again, I just did this test quickly to show you guys that a lot of you guys will be like, no, what, Paul, like, you could have changed this and you could have changed that and you could have added a little bit more here. This is how drastic these boosts are, guys. There's a reason why I've got it set the way that I've set it, okay? So that is as good as I could set the curve bender for the vocals. There is definite differences for me. I think the Waves and Acoustica do have a more of an upfront character, where it's kind of got, the SoftTube's got more of a kind of sheen across it to me. That's just, again, I just find it really interesting how they're really similar, but in the top end there is a difference to me. So let's see how I got on.
For I've been living in scenes from Harold and Maude, faking gruesome deaths, offending Catholic priests. So send this boy away, forsake him at your peril, there can only be one loser. I never knew why. We were only passing ships in the night, ignoring all the other.
Right, I would say I think that's right. Yes. Now, the interesting thing was, when you do it in the blind test, the Acoustica doesn't have that kind of low weight that I thought it did. And again, the SoftTube and the Acoustica are just so close together, really close. But I was able to tell the Waves, because I think that kind of low end, kind of upfront weight is possibly more maybe kind of to do with the clarity. There is more clarity, and again, I did push the top end purposely on this. I prefer the Acoustica. I think that the SoftTube's high end is great in terms of, say, if you look for something super silky smooth, strings or something like that. I think that would be a really nice plugin. But I think the top end's just a little bit more crisper for me. I would say crisper is probably a better word. It's that cleanliness that the other ones have, where the Waves just doesn't have it. However, still sounds really good. I thought the Wave sounded really good. I just think in a mix, that with that clutter taken away, that the vocals of the SoftTube and the Acoustica are going to stand out a little bit more. I think it's because it's got a little bit more low mids in there, and it kind of lacks in the highs, so it brings it a little bit more forward, which could be a really good thing. I just think it has a little bit more mud in there, and it doesn't clean up as good as the SoftTube and the Acoustica. So I thought that was a great test, and I'm going to give Waves their due. I thought Waves, it's a fantastic sounding plugin, and I think it is the oversampling. So let's go to the studio and let's just do a final wrap up.
Right, so that was interesting. Again, Waves just missing out the mark. Unfortunately, I would say, because I can't deny it's still a great sounding plugin. The Abbey Road plugins from Waves that are good, they do sound really good. It's just the oversampling. And again, the harmonic distortion as well. I know that doesn't have the same harmonic distortion as the rest of them. Again, THD, like I was mentioning in that Fall of Waves audio video, it's all about harmonic distortion. The SOFTUBE and Acoustica Audio go to the lengths of getting the THD. Remember, the THD is the measurement of the total harmonic distortion. And then what they do is they try and emulate the analog behaviors of that THD, how it increases, how it goes down, blah 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 blah. They go to a lot of effort to do that, which will then make the sound better, because what you will find if you're just starting out your journey is that harmonics make things sound better. That's why so many people add saturation to their tracks. Saturation is like one of the biggest things that engineers are adding into their tracks. Harmonics make things sound better. So the oversampling was another thing that, and I feel sorry for these Abbey Road plugins, because they are great. It's just a shame that the other two are cleaner. And what this does is it just, again, is more proof that Waves has to take their plugins back and stop marketing old bloody plugins, man. Like, again, I'll put a link up, because again, I always never do research before this. So this is when these plugins came out, okay? This is when the SOFTUBE came out, and this is when the Acoustica Coffee came out. So obviously, I know that it's going to be, the Waves is going to be the oldest. I know that. If it's not, then I'm going to be pretty embarrassed. What you can hear is that the advances in technology. Again, Waves is in the right ballpark. It did do a great job with the EQs and the compressors and stuff. It sounds great. There is no denying it. It makes the source better. It's just that the other two make the source sound even better. That clarity. There's something I'm finding with Waves plugins, that there's this lack of clarity in them, where I don't know what it is. Again, there was a ring in the snare that I didn't like. And again, the guitars just sounded harsh and muddy in comparison to the other two. And that's what they're missing out on. If I was to pick between the SOFTUBE and the Acoustica, I'd probably say the Acoustica. However, SOFTUBE has better CPU. The only reason I would have picked the Acoustica, one, because I own it, but two, because the top end. I normally use the Acoustica Coffee for that top end. I just think that it's crisper. Again, the SOFTUBE is really nice because it gives you that soft, kind of really smooth high end. I just like that. Me, I prefer crispness in my high end. I know I can push the Acoustica Coffee even more and get more out of it, but remember on the vocals, it was dimed at 5k, where in the Acoustica, I just could have pushed it even more if I wanted to and get more of that top end out. It's one of the best top end EQs I've ever tried. See, on vocals, right, use that high shelf, or again that 12k bell or whatever I had, add a mag on top, mwah, you're talking, that's high end for you, and you can get that smooth high end and still get that crispness in. There's an extra compressor option in the Acoustica, and again you get another limiter called the Ultra as well. So there is more options, and again you get the Pre in the Acoustica as well, but very, 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 in a mix I don't think you'd tell the difference. In the top end you'd tell the difference, but apart from the top end, I think Acoustica and SOFTUBE very, very, very similar. There is differences, obviously there's differences, but in context of a mix I think they were very close. Most important, guys, remember, subscribe and like this video. And what does YouTube do? It goes, ha, people like this video, I'm going to push this video out to more audio engineers, and hopefully they'll like it. So like, and most importantly subscribe, so you can keep up to date with all my Mixing Wednesday videos, and you can keep up to date with those 2 videos. Yes, 2 videos next week. Okay, my wife's fucking raging it is, but whatever, that's what you want. So keep an eye out for that, and if you've not subscribed, subscribe, hit that bell icon as well. Thank you very much for watching, guys, and I will see you again next Wednesday on Mixing Wednesdays.